Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds, and we've kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and weight maintenance. Today we're going to continue Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior and talk about my Alaska Binge Purge cycle. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also in the episode notes, see links to my website, my courses, my books, my podcasts, and if you appreciate my content, at least like the button, hit the notification button as well, and if you really like it, please make a donation via PayPal. Alright, so of course I recommend you watch these in order. The last 2 or 3 episodes are about my graduate school time in Alaska. This ran from 97 to 2000, so I am about 6 to 9 years into my weight loss. And as I mentioned before, when I lost my weight in 1991, it's not like a fairy came and just sprinkled dust. It's like, you know how to eat normal now. You have an ordered relationship with food. It wasn't like that at all, brothers and sisters in Christ. It was still a struggle for that whole decade. And when I got to Alaska, as I mentioned a couple episodes ago, I had my first weight gain. I was about 20 pounds. Kind of coinciding with my I don't know what to do after graduating from college year, my extra year in the city that I went to college. And then going to graduate school in Alaska, and I was all alone, so then I binge eat a lot. Then eventually my soon-to-be wife started her program, and then around that time I started losing the weight and went back to normal. So definitely in Alaska, I would say that I was in the calorie in, calorie out phase. Absolutely. And if you go to the episode of my college binge eating, I talked about how during college, I would pretty much starve during the week, binge eat during the weekend. I'd weigh myself on Friday and then rinse, lather, repeat for 4 years. When it came to Alaska, it was different. And the main difference was my girlfriend, who later became my wife. When I was single, which was most of college, I mean, I had relationships with girls, but never like an official girlfriend. But in college, I pretty much, lived a bachelor lifestyle. And so it was different. But once you have a girlfriend, a living girlfriend, so to speak, it changes. So did she know about my binge eating? Yes, I had told her early in the relationship. And I think at the time, she probably was like, yeah, what's the big deal? I don't think she really realized how it was going to affect her relationship. And I think we'll have a future episode on that. But when she moved to Alaska, I no longer could do, like I mentioned in the episode 2 episodes back on the weight gain, how I would just like lay a bunch of food on the table of desserts and Big Macs and fries and pizzas and just binge eat. I couldn't do that anymore because I had to like maintain this illusion to her that I wasn't binge eating. So what happened was the beginning of something that would happen for like another 10 years, 12 years, which was the car binge. So in Alaska, the cycle was essentially this. I was not fasting. I started fasting in 2014. This is 1997. So I would eat breakfast and then go work out in the morning. Running. I would run and do my runs. I didn't really do a lot of weightlifting. I would run my 5 miles on the indoor track because it's Alaska. And then what would happen was my classes were typically in the afternoon. In my class that I TA'd for, Modern World History, didn't start till 2. So I'd stop working out like at 11. I had this window. It was too tempting. So then what would I do? I would go to Safeway or Fred Meyer's, which is pretty big up in the Northwest, and just binge eat. I would either go home to the apartment, binge eat there, or I would binge eat in the car. And then I would go to class, be the TA, which essentially most days was just being the comedic foil to the professor, and pass out stuff, grade stuff, and so forth, do my office hours, then go to class. If the class was a lecture style, I had no problem because I was just like, I was like Hermione Granger. But on the seminar classes I talked about in the previous episode, I was all panic attack. I mean, it was just this strange dichotomy. And then after class, I'd go back home to see my girlfriend, and I had to like pretend that I had not binged eat 4,000 calories or whatever I did during the day, and then try to eat a regular dinner. Now, look, she wasn't stupid. She probably knew I was eating behind her back. But this was kind of like the ruse, the mirage the kind of story that I did for about 3 years. Now, there were days where I wouldn't go binge eat from that 11 to 2 period. I'd go and have lunch, and my lunch was a can of beans, pinto beans. Again, fiber, carbs, right? And I would eat that. But then after class, on the way home, then it was the carb binge. And I'm talking like, I always liked bean burritos from Taco Bell. So it'd be like 6 bean burritos, 3 slices of cake from Safeway. I was never into sodas because even then I knew I shouldn't drink my calories. And then, maybe throw in a bag of Cheetos. That was maybe a typical day of the carb binge. And of course, the carb binge is so unfulfilling because you have to pull to the side of the road and then, you do it really fast. And then you're like, the whole time. And so that's around the same time I started doing my evening walks. Was in Alaska, but it's partly because I had to offset all the binge eating I was doing. So it was this calorie in, calorie out world where I was ingesting a lot of calories, again, middle aisle grocery store, high in calorie, low in nutrition food, and then purging it out through exercise. And again, I never did laxatives or anything like that. I did drink a lot of water during this time, but I never vomited or took laxatives. I do remember this was the one time I did vomit, because I remember once being in my apartment and just eating so much of the junk food so fast that I could handle it. But as soon as I drink a little water, then the stomach was like, ugh, and then I remember throwing up. But it was never an intentional throw up. So that's essentially what I did for 3 years. And the carb binging was something that continued for at least a decade, which we'll talk about in future episodes. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you can relate to this. Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.